My daughter-in-law looked me dead in the eyes at the airport and said, "We gave your ticket to my mom. The grandkids love her more anyway." My son stood right beside her and he nodded. I felt my heart crack in two. Right there, in the middle of that crowded terminal, surrounded by families laughing and hugging, and mine just threw me away like I was nothing. But here's the thing, they had no idea what I was about to do next. Let me take you back a little, because this didn't happen overnight. No, this was something that had been building for a while. And maybe I should have seen it coming. My name's Margaret. Most people call me Maggie. I'm 67 years old, widowed for about 5 years now. My husband, Earl, passed from a heart attack. It was sudden. One day he was laughing at the TV, the next he was gone. After that, everything changed. I had to learn how to be alone. And trust me, that's not easy when you've spent 41 years waking up next to the same person. The silence in the house was so loud, it hurt. But I had one thing that kept me going. My son Kevin and my 2 beautiful grandkids. Emma, who was 12, and Tyler, who had just turned 8. Those kids were my world. Every weekend. I'd drive 45 minutes just to see them. I'd bring homemade cookies. I'd play board games. I'd sit on the floor with Tyler building Lego sets until my knees screamed for mercy. And Emma, she used to sit with me on the porch swing and talk about her friends, her dreams, her favorite songs. I treasured every second. But then something shifted. It started small, real small, kind of like how a crack in a wall begins. You don't notice it at first, but then one day the whole thing crumbles. Kevin got married about 10 years ago. His wife Rachel seemed sweet at first. She came from a nice family. Her mom, Diane, was polite, a bit stiff, but polite. For the first few years, things were okay, but slowly I started noticing things. I'd plan a visit, and suddenly Rachel would say, "Oh, the kids have a play date. We're actually heading to my mom's that day." At first, I didn't think much of it. Families are busy. I get that, but then the holidays started shifting. Christmas used to be at my house. Earl and I would cook a big meal. The kids would run around opening presents. It was loud and messy and perfect. After Earl passed, I tried to keep the tradition alive, but Rachel had other ideas. "We're doing Christmas at my mom's this year," she said one November. "It's just easier with the kids." I nodded. I understood. I didn't want to make a fuss. But then it happened the next year or two. And the year after that, soon. I was only seeing the grandkids on random Sundays. And even then, it felt rushed. Like I was an appointment they had to squeeze in. Kevin never said anything. He just went along with whatever Rachel wanted. That's who he became. A man who didn't want to rock the boat. I missed the son I raised, but I kept hoping. I kept believing that if I just stayed patient, things would get better. And then, about 2 months ago, I got an idea. A big one. I'd been saving money for years. Earl left me a decent amount when he passed. I didn't spend much. I lived simply. And I had this dream, a family vacation. All of us. Together, I wanted to take everyone to Hawaii. A week at a beautiful resort. The beach. The sunsets. The memories. I wanted to give my grandkids something they'd never forget. So I started planning. I found the perfect resort. I booked 5 plane tickets. Kevin, Rachel, Emma, Tyler. And me, it cost me nearly $18,000. That was a big chunk of my savings. But I didn't care. This was going to be worth it. I was so excited I could barely sleep. When I told Kevin about it, he seemed surprised. "Mom, wow, that's really generous." Rachel didn't say much. She just smiled, that tight little smile she always gave me, the one that never quite reached her eyes. But I pushed that aside. I told myself she was just shocked, that once we got there, everything would be amazing. We planned the trip for late June. I counted down the days like a kid waiting for Christmas. I bought new sandals, a flowy sundress. I even got a cute little beach hat I imagined walking on the sand with. Emma, building sandcastles with. Tyler, watching the sunset with my son. It was gonna be perfect. And then the day finally came. We all agreed to meet at the airport. Kevin said they'd pick me up, but I told him I'd just take a cab. I didn't want to be a burden. I got there early. Way too early. I sat near the check-in counter with my little suitcase and my carry-on bag. My heart was racing with excitement. I watched families walk by, kids laughing, parents juggling luggage and snacks. It made me smile. And then I saw them, Kevin, Rachel, Emma, Tyler. They walked in together. The kids looked sleepy. Rachel was on her phone. Kevin was pulling a big suitcase. I stood up and waved, but something felt off. There was someone else with them, a woman I recognized immediately, Diane, Rachel's mom. She was walking right beside the kids, holding Tyler's hand. I froze. My brain couldn't process what I was seeing. Why was she here? Maybe she came to say goodbye. That had to be it. I walked toward them, still smiling, still hoping. Hey, there you are, I said, reaching out to hug Emma. But Emma didn't hug me back. She just looked at Rachel, and that's when Rachel stepped forward. Maggie, we need to talk. Her voice was cold. Not mean, but cold. Like she'd rehearsed this. What's going on? I asked. Kevin wouldn't look at me. He was staring at the floor. My son, my own flesh and blood, couldn't even meet my eyes. Rachel took a breath. We've made a decision. The kids have been really stressed lately, and they're more comfortable with my mom. So we gave your ticket to her. She's coming instead. I didn't move. I couldn't. The words hit me like a truck, like someone reached into my chest and ripped something out. You gave away my ticket. It's not personal, Maggie. It's just better for the kids. I looked at Emma. Sweetheart, do you? But Rachel cut me off. Please don't put the kids in the middle of this. I turned to Kevin, my son, my baby boy. Kevin, say something. He finally looked up. His eyes were tired, empty. Mom, I think Rachel's right. The grandkids are more comfortable with Diane. It'll be easier for everyone. Easier. That word hit me like a slap. I had just spent $18,000. Months of planning. Years of love. And I was being replaced because it was easier. I looked at Diane. She didn't say anything. But there was this little smirk on her face. Barely visible. But I saw it. My stomach twisted. So what am I supposed to do? I asked quietly. Rachel shrugged. Go home, I guess. We'll bring you a souvenir. Souvenir. Like I was some neighbor they barely knew. I looked at my grandkids one more time. Tyler was playing a game on his tablet. Emma was staring at the ceiling. Neither of them came to hug me. Neither of them said, we want Grandma to come. And that broke me. Not just my heart. Something deeper. I stood there for what felt like forever. My legs were shaking. My eyes were burning. But I didn't cry. Not in front of them. I just nodded. Double quotes, okay? That's all I said. Okay? And I turned around and walked away. I heard Rachel say something behind me. Maybe to Kevin. I didn't catch it. I didn't want to catch it. I just kept walking. But I didn't go home. No, something inside me snapped. Not in a bad way. In a clear way. Like a fog-lifting dot, I stopped near the airline counter and I made a decision. You see? There was something none of them knew. The tickets I bought, they were under my name. All 5 of them. I had paid for everything. The flights. The hotel. The rental car. Everything. And right then, standing in that airport, I realized I still had all the power. I walked up to the counter. Hi, I said to the woman behind the desk. I need to cancel a reservation. She smiled politely. Sure, ma'am. How many tickets? 4, she blinked. For tickets? Yes, I'll be keeping just 1. For myself, she typed something into her computer. And the hotel. Cancel their rooms. I'll keep my suite. Her eyes went wide for a second, but she didn't ask questions. She just did her job. A few minutes later, it was done. 4 tickets, canceled. 3 hotel rooms. Gone. I paid a small fee for the changes. But the refund would come back to me eventually. And then I walked toward the security line. My heart was pounding, but not from fear, from something else. Something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. I didn't look back. Not once, but about 2 minutes later I heard it. Running footsteps. And then Mom, wait. Kevin's voice. I kept walking. Up. I didn't stop. I just kept going. He caught up to me. Grabbed my arm. What did you do? I turned slowly, calm, collected. I canceled your tickets. His face went white. What? And the hotel. All of it gone. Rachel came running up behind him. Diane, too. The kids trailed behind, confused. Can't do that. Rachel shouted. Actually, I can. I paid for everything. It's all under my name. Rachel's jaw dropped. You can't just... I just did. Kevin looked like he was going to be sick. Mom, please. We can fix this. Just rebook. No. I said it firmly, quietly, but with more strength than I'd felt in years. You replaced me. You didn't even ask. You just threw me aside like I meant nothing. Like all those years, all those holidays, all those visits. Meant nothing. My voice cracked for just a second. And you know what hurts the most? It wasn't Rachel. It wasn't even Diane. I looked at my son. 'Twas you, Kevin, my own son. You couldn't even look me in the eye. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Rachel stepped forward. This is ridiculous. You're being petty. Maybe I am, I said. But I'm also done. Done being invisible. Done being an afterthought. Done being the grandmother who only matters when it's convenient. I looked at my grandkids. I love you both. I always will. But right now, I need to love myself too. And with that, I turned around and walked toward security. I could hear Rachel yelling behind me. Something about legal action. Something about how I was ruining everything. But I didn't care. I was finally free. I boarded that plane alone, and for the first time in a long time, I smiled. A real smile. But here's the thing. That trip to Hawaii, it was about to change my life in ways I never expected because something happened on that island, something I could never have predicted. And it all started with a stranger on a beach. The flight was about 5 hours. I sat by the window, first class, because you know what? I deserved it. The flight attendant brought me a warm towel and a glass of champagne. I'd never had champagne on a plane before. Earl and I always flew coach when we traveled. But this was different. This was just for me. I stared out the window as we climbed above the clouds. My mind kept replaying what happened at the airport. Rachel's cold words. Kevin's silence. The way my grandkids didn't even look up. It hurt. God, it hurt so much. But there was something else too. Something underneath the pain relief for years. I had bent over backward trying to be the perfect grandmother. The one who never complained. The one who always smiled. The one who pretended everything was fine even when it wasn't. And where did that get me? Replaced, discarded, forgotten, well. Not anymore. I took a sip of my champagne and made myself a promise. This week was going to be about me. Just me, no more waiting for phone calls that never came. No more driving an hour just to get 15 minutes with my grandkids. No more swallowing my feelings to keep the peace. For the first time in years, I was putting myself first. And honestly, it felt terrifying, but also kind of wonderful. The plane landed in Honolulu around noon. The moment I stepped outside, the warm air wrapped around me like a hug. I could smell the ocean, flowers, something sweet. Couldn't name. It was beautiful. The resort was even better than the pictures. Palm trees everywhere. A huge pool with a waterfall. And the beach. Crystal blue water stretching out forever. I checked into my suite. It was on the 5th floor with a balcony overlooking the ocean. I stood there for a long time, breathing. This was real. I was really here. My phone buzzed in my purse. I pulled it out and saw the notifications. 12 missed calls from Kevin. 8 texts from Rachel. 1. Voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I turned off my phone completely and tossed it in the nightstand drawer. Whatever they had to say could wait. I changed into my new sundress, grabbed my beach hat, and headed downstairs. The beach was mostly empty. A few couples here and there. Some kids building sandcastles near the water. I found a quiet spot, spread out my towel, and sat down. The waves crashed gently against the shore. The sun was warm on my skin. And for the first time in I don't know how long, my mind went quiet. No worries, no stress, no pain, just peace. I must have sat there for an hour, maybe 2. Time kinda disappeared, and then I heard a voice. "Excuse me, is this spot taken?" I looked up and saw a man standing a few feet away. He looked about my age, maybe a little older, silver hair, kind eyes. He was holding a folding chair and a small cooler. "No, go ahead," I said. He smiled and set up his chair next to me. Not too close, just close enough to be friendly. "Beautiful day, huh?" He said. "It really is. First time in Hawaii." I nodded. "Yeah. You?" "Nah, I come here every year. My wife and I used to vacation here. It was her favorite place." I noticed the way he said "used to." "Sorry," I said softly. He shrugged, but I could see the sadness behind his smile. "It's been 3 years now. Cancer. She fought hard, but—" He trailed off. "I understand," I said. "I lost my husband 5 years ago. Heart attack." He looked at me with genuine sympathy. "Then you know." "Yeah, I know." We sat in comfortable silence for a while. It was strange. I'd just met this man, but something about him felt familiar. "Safe? I'm Walter. By the way," he said, extending his hand. "Maggie." We shook hands. "So, Maggie, what brings you to Hawaii all by yourself?" I hesitated. Part of me didn't want to get into it, but something about Walter made me want to be honest. "It's a long story," he chuckled. "Well, I got nothing but time." So I told him everything. The trip I planned. The money I spent. The moment at the airport when they gave my ticket away. The way my son couldn't even look at me. And then how I canceled everything and came alone. Walter listened without interrupting. When I finished, he shook his head slowly. "That's rough, Maggie. Real rough." "Yeah, but you know what? You did the right thing." I looked at him. "You think so?" "Absolutely. You stood up for yourself. That takes guts. A lot of people would have just gone home and cried." "I almost did, but you didn't. You're here, on this beautiful beach, living your life." He raised his water bottle like a toast. "To new beginnings." I smiled and raised my imaginary glass. "To new beginnings." That night, I had dinner alone at the resort restaurant. I ordered the grilled mahi-mahi with coconut rice. It was incredible. I sat by the window, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. I thought about Earl, about how much he would have loved this. But I also thought about something else. I thought about how, even though I was alone, I didn't feel lonely. Not really, for years. I had surrounded myself with people who made me feel invisible. And now here I was, completely by myself. And I felt more seen than ever. Funny how that works. After dinner, I walked along the beach. The moon was rising over the water. The waves whispered against the sand. I took off my sandals and let my feet sink into the cool, wet sand, and I cried. Not sad tears. Not angry tears, just release. Everything I'd been holding in for years came pouring out. The grief, the loneliness, the disappointment, the hope I kept clinging to that things would get better. I let it all go, and when I was done, I felt lighter than I had in a long, long time. The next few days were magical. I went snorkeling for the first time. Saw fish in every color of the rainbow. I took a sunset cruise and watched dolphins leap through the waves. I did a luau, tried poi, learned a few hula moves that made me laugh at myself. And every afternoon, I'd go back to that same spot on the beach, and every afternoon Walter would be there. We talked about everything. Our lives, our losses, our kids. Our regrets, he told me about his daughter Amy, who lived in Seattle. They were close. She called him every Sunday. I told him about Kevin, how we used to be close too, how I didn't know where things went wrong. Maybe it wasn't you, Walter said one day. What do you mean? I mean, sometimes people change. They get influenced by others. They forget what matters, I sighed. Maybe. But here's the thing, Maggie. You can't force someone to love you the way you deserve. You can only decide how you're going to respond. And how am I supposed to respond? He smiled. You already did. You're here. You chose yourself. I've thought about that for a long time. On the fourth day, something happened. I was sitting at the pool reading a book when I heard a familiar sound. Crying, not adult crying, kid crying. I looked around and saw a little boy, maybe 7 or 8, standing near the shallow end of the pool. He was alone, tears streaming down his face. I got up and walked over to him. Hey, sweetie, are you okay? He shook his head. I can't find my grandma. My heart clenched. What's your grandma's name? Linda. She was right here, and then she was gone. I looked around. The pool area was crowded, easy to get separated. Okay, don't worry. Let's go find her together. I took his hand and we walked toward the front desk. A few minutes later, we found Linda, a frantic woman in a floral swimsuit, practically running toward us. Marcus. Oh my God, Marcus. She scooped him up and held him tight. Thank you so much, she said, tears in her eyes. I turned around for 1 second and he was gone. It's okay. He's safe. She looked at me with such gratitude. I don't know how to thank you. Just seeing him back with you is enough. She smiled. I'm Linda. Maggie. Well, Maggie, you just saved my vacation. Let me buy you a drink. And just like that, I made another friend. Linda was 62, from Texas, traveling with her daughter and grandson. Her husband had passed 2 years ago. She was still figuring out how to do life without him. We bonded instantly that night. I had dinner with Linda, Walter, and a few other travelers we'd met. We laughed. We shared stories. We talked about everything from grandkids to gardening to the best. Recipes for banana bread. It felt like family, real family, not the kind that makes you feel small, the kind that lifts you up. But here's the thing. While I was finding peace in Hawaii, things back home were falling apart. I didn't know it yet, but I was about to find out. It was the 5th day of my trip. I was sitting on my balcony, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise. When I finally decided to turn my phone back on, I hadn't looked at it since I arrived. The moment it powered up, it exploded. Notifications flooded the screen, texts, missed calls, voicemails. Most of them were from Kevin. A few were from Rachel, and then I saw something that made my stomach drop. A text from Emma. My granddaughter. She never texted me. Rachel always monitored her phone. With shaking hands, I opened it. Grandma, please call me. I miss you. I'm so sorry. My heart broke all over again. I sat there for a long time, staring at those words. Then I scrolled through the other messages. Kevin, Mom, please pick up. We need to talk. Kevin, I know you're angry. I don't blame you, Kevin. Please, just call me back. Rachel, this is completely unacceptable. You ruined our vacation. Rachel, you need to reimburse us for the money we spent on new tickets. I almost laughed at that one, but then I saw another text from Kevin. This one was different. Something happened. It's about Rachel's mom. Please call me. Something happened. My curiosity spiked, but I didn't call. Not yet. Instead, I called Emma. She picked up on the second ring. Grandma. Her voice was small, shaky. Hi, sweetheart. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were going to do that. I swear I didn't. It's okay, honey. It's not your fault. I wanted you to come. I really did. But Mom said. She trailed off. What did Mom say? Emma hesitated. She said Grandma Diane deserved it more. That she's been waiting for a trip like this forever. I closed my eyes. Emma, listen to me. I love you, no matter what. Okay? I love you too, Grandma. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me about the trip, how it didn't even happen, how they had to wait hours at the airport trying to fix everything, how her mom was furious. And then she told me something I wasn't expecting. Grandma Diane got sick. What? On the second day, she ate something bad, I think. She was in the hospital for 2 days. My heart skipped. She okay? Yeah, she's fine now. But Mom was so stressed. She and Dad kept fighting. I didn't know what to say. And Grandma. Dad cried. He cried. Yeah, he said he messed up. That he should have stood up for you. I felt a tear roll down my cheek, but I wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. Thank you for telling me, sweetheart. I'll talk to your dad soon, okay? Okay? I love you, Grandma. I love you too. I hung up and sat there in silence, so Diane got sick. Rachel and Kevin were fighting. And my son finally realized he messed up. Part of me felt satisfied, but another part. Sadness, because none of this had to happen. If they had just treated me with respect, if Kevin had just spoken up, if Rachel had just seen me as family instead of competition, none of this had to happen. But it did. And now, everything was different. I took a deep breath and looked out at the ocean. I wasn't sure what would happen when I got home, but I knew one thing for certain: I was never going back to being invisible. Not ever again. That afternoon, I went back to the beach. Walter was there. As usual, you look like you've got something on your mind, he said. You could say that. I told him about the phone call, about Emma, about Diane getting sick, about Kevin crying. He listened quietly. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know. Do you want to forgive them? I thought about it. I want to forgive Kevin. He's my son. But Rachel. But Rachel, what? I sighed. She's been pushing me out for years. And Kevin let her. Walter nodded. Sometimes the person you're maddest at isn't the one you should be. What do you mean? Rachel's just doing what Rachel does. But Kevin, he's your son. He knows better. Or at least he should. I let that sink in. So what do I do? Walter smiled. That's not for me to say. But I will tell you this. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. I looked at him. That's pretty deep. I stole it from a fortune cookie. I laughed. For the first time all day, I really laughed. You're a good man, Walter. You're a strong woman, Maggie. Stronger than you know. We sat in silence, watching the waves roll in. And somewhere in my heart, something began to shift. I wasn't ready to forgive, but maybe I was ready to try. The last 2 days of my trip went by too fast. I soaked in every second, every sunset, every wave, every conversation with Walter and Linda and all the new friends I'd made. On my final night in Hawaii, Walter and I took a walk along the beach. The moon was full. The water sparkled like someone had scattered diamonds across it. So he said, "You heading back tomorrow?" "Yeah, early flight. You nervous?" I thought about it. A little. I don't know what I'm walking into. Whatever it is, you'll handle it. You've already proven that. I smiled. Thanks, Walter. For everything. He stopped walking and turned to face me. Maggie, I gotta tell you something. My heart did a little flutter. Okay, these past few days, they've meant a lot to me. I haven't connected with someone like this since my wife passed. I felt my cheeks warm. I feel the same way. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small piece of paper. This is my number and my address. I live in Arizona, but I travel a lot. Maybe we could stay in touch. I took the paper and held it like it was something precious. I'd like that. He smiled. That warm, kind smile that made me feel like everything was going to be okay. Take care of yourself, Maggie. And remember, you deserve to be happy. You too, Walter. We hugged. A long, warm hug. The kind that says more than words ever could. And then we said goodbye. The flight home felt different. I wasn't the same woman who left a week ago. Something had shifted inside me. I felt stronger, calmer, more sure of who I was, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I didn't know what was waiting for me. Kevin had called 3 more times. I hadn't answered. I told myself I'd deal with it when I got home. Well, now I was almost home. The plane landed around 4 in the afternoon. I grabbed my luggage and walked toward the exit, and that's when I saw him dot Kevin. He was standing near the arrivals area, holding a small bouquet of flowers. His eyes were red. His face looked tired, like he hadn't slept in days. I stopped walking for a moment. Neither of us moved. Then he walked toward me, slowly, like he was afraid I'd run away. "Mom." His voice cracked. "Kevin." He stood in front of me, clutching those flowers like a lifeline. "I'm so sorry." I didn't say anything. I just waited. "I messed up so bad. I should have stood up for you. I should have told Rachel no. I should." His voice broke completely. Tears streamed down his face. "I'm so sorry, Mom. Please, please forgive me." I looked at my son, my baby boy, the one I raised, the one I loved more than anything in this world, and I saw something in his eyes I hadn't seen in years. Shame, real, genuine shame. "Kevin," I said quietly, "what happened at that airport broke my heart." He nodded, tears still falling. "But what hurt more wasn't losing the trip. It was losing you. Feeling like I didn't matter to my own son." "You do matter, Mom. You matter so much. I got lost. I let Rachel make all the decisions. I stopped thinking for myself. Why?" He wiped his face. "I don't know. I guess I was scared. Scared of conflict. Scared of her being upset. I just wanted everyone to be happy. Everyone except me." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "I know, and I hate myself for it." We stood there in silence. People walked around us. Announcements played over the speakers. But it felt like we were the only 2 people in the world. "Where's Rachel?" I asked. He hesitated. "At home. We've been fighting a lot. About me. About everything. But mostly about you. About what we did." I nodded slowly. "And Diane. She went back to her place. She's fine now. But the whole trip was a disaster. We barely left the hotel. The kids were miserable. Rachel blamed me. I blamed myself." He looked at me with desperate eyes. "Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking anyway. Please give me a chance to make this right." I took a deep breath. This was the moment, the crossroads. I could hold onto my anger. Punish him for what he did. Make him suffer like I suffered. Or I could choose something else. "Kevin," I said, "I'm not ready to pretend everything's okay. Because it's not." His face fell. But I continued. "I'm willing to try. Slowly, one step at a time." He looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "Really? Really? But things have to change. I'm not going to be pushed aside anymore. If I'm part of this family, I need to be treated like it." "You will be. I promise. And Kevin, this can't just be words. I need to see action." He nodded vigorously. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes." I looked at the flowers in his hand. "Are those for me?" He blinked, like he'd forgotten he was holding them. "Oh, yeah. They're your favorites. Yellow roses." Took them, smelled them, smiled just a little. "Thank you." He exhaled, relief washing over his face. "Can I drive you home?" I thought about it, then nodded. "Okay." We walked to his car together. It wasn't perfect. There was still tension, still awkwardness, but it was a start. The drive home was quiet at first. Then Kevin spoke. "Mom, there's something else I need to tell you." "What?" He gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Rachel and I, we're in trouble. Real trouble." I looked at him. "What kind of trouble?" "She wants to separate." My heart stopped. "What?" "She says I'm not supportive enough. That I always side with you." I almost laughed. "Kevin, you literally gave away my airplane ticket." "I know. But she says it's not enough. That I should have cut you off completely. My blood ran cold. Cut me off. She wanted me to stop talking to you altogether. Said you were toxic, that you were ruining our family. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And what did you say? He looked at me. Really looked at me. I said no. For the first time in years, I saw my son. The real Kevin, the one I raised. I told her that you're my mother, that I love you, and that if she can't accept that, then maybe we don't belong together. Tears filled my eyes, Kevin. I should have said that years ago. I know, but I'm saying it now. We drove in silence for a few minutes. My mind was racing. What happens now? I asked, I don't know. Rachel's staying with her mom for a few days. We're going to talk when she gets back. Figure things out. And the kids. They're with me. They're at home. My heart leaped. They're at home. Yeah. And Mom? They really want to see you. For the first time since this whole nightmare began. I felt something close to hope. When we pulled up to Kevin's house. I saw two little faces pressed against the window. Emma and Tyler. The moment I stepped out of the car, the front door flew open. Tyler came running at full speed. He crashed into me so hard I almost fell over. Grandma, you're back. I missed you so much. I wrapped my arms around him and held on tight. I missed you too, sweetheart. Emma came walking out more slowly. She looked nervous, guilty. I opened one arm, inviting her in. She ran to me and buried her face in my shoulder. I'm so sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry. It's okay, baby. It's okay. We stood there on the front lawn, the three of us holding each other, and I realized something. This right here. This was what mattered, not the trip. Not the money. Not the drama, just love. Pure, simple love. That night, Kevin made dinner. Nothing fancy. Just spaghetti and meatballs. But it was perfect. We sat around the table like we used to, talking, laughing, sharing stories. Tyler told me all about his soccer team. Emma showed me her drawings. Kevin actually listened, actually engaged. It felt like old times. After dinner, the kids went to watch TV and Kevin and I sat on the porch. I need to ask you something. Go ahead. He took a deep breath. Would you consider moving closer? There's a nice apartment complex about 10 minutes from here. I just thought, if things work out, it would be nice to have you nearby. I stared at him. You want me to move closer? Only if you want to. No pressure. I want to do better. Be a better son. And I can't do that if you're an hour away. I thought about my little house. The one Earl and I bought 30 years ago. The one filled with memories. Could I really leave it? But then I thought about something else. New beginnings. Walter's words echoed in my head. I'll think about it, I said. Kevin smiled. That's all I'm asking. Few days later, Rachel came back. I wasn't there for the conversation. Kevin said it was something they needed to do alone. But he called me that night. Mom, we talked. And she apologized. I almost dropped the phone. What? She apologized. For everything. For how she treated you. For pushing you out. For the airport. I couldn't believe it. What made her change her mind? Honestly. Her mom, Diane. Yeah, apparently while she was sick in Hawaii, Diane had a lot of time to think. She told Rachel that what they did was wrong. That no mother should be treated that way. I sat down slowly. Diane said that? She did. She even wants to apologize to you in person. My head was spinning. This was the last thing I expected. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything yet. Just know that things are changing. For real this time. I hung up the phone and sat in silence. For years, I had felt like the enemy. Like there was a war between me and Rachel's family, and I was losing. But maybe it was never a war. Maybe it was just fear, insecurity, miscommunication. Maybe. We were all just trying to be loved. A week later, I met Diane for coffee. It was awkward at first. Neither of us knew what to say. But then she spoke. Maggie, I owe you an apology. I waited. I was jealous of you. You had this relationship with the kids that I wanted. And instead of working to build my own, I tried to take yours. She looked down at her coffee. When I was in that hospital bed in Hawaii, I thought about my life, my choices, the kind of person I'd become. She looked up, tears in her eyes. I didn't like what I saw, reached across the table and touched her hand. Diane, I'm not going to pretend the past didn't hurt. It did a lot. She nodded. But I'm tired of fighting, tired of competing. These grandkids have enough love for both of us. She smiled through her tears. You're right. They do. We talked for 2 hours that day about our husbands, our losses, our fears. By the end, I didn't see her as an enemy anymore. I saw her as another grandmother, just trying to love her family the best she could, just like me. 3 months later, I made a decision. I sold my house. It wasn't easy. Every room held a memory of Earl. Every corner reminded me of the life we built together. But I realized something important. Earl wasn't in that house. He was in my heart. And he would be wherever I went. I moved into a cozy little apartment 10 minutes from Kevin's house. The kids were thrilled. They came over every weekend. Sometimes more. Emma and I started a tradition. Every Saturday morning, we'd sit on my little balcony and talk, just like we used to on the porch swing. Tyler helped me set up a small garden on my windowsill. We grew tomatoes and basil. He was so proud when we made bruschetta with our own ingredients. And Kevin became the son I always knew he could be. He called me every day, visited at least twice a week, included me in everything. It wasn't perfect. We still had rough patches. Old wounds don't heal overnight, but we were trying, and that's what mattered. As for Rachel, she changed too, slowly, carefully. She started inviting me to family dinners, asking my advice on recipes, even letting me take the kids for overnight stays. One day, she pulled me aside. Maggie, I know I can never undo what I did at the airport, but I want you to know, I see you differently now. How so? I see you as family, real family. Not competition. I hugged her. For the first time ever. Thank you, Rachel. That means more than you know. And then there was Walter. We stayed in touch. Phone calls every few days. Video chats on weekends. 6 months after Hawaii, he came to visit. I picked him up at the airport. The same airport where everything fell apart. But this time was different. This time, I wasn't alone. This time, I was surrounded by people who loved me. Walter fit right into my new life. The kids adored him. Kevin respected him. Even Rachel warmed up to him. One evening, we were sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset. You know, he said, when I met you on that beach, I thought you were the saddest woman I'd ever seen. I laughed. Thanks a lot, but now? Now you're glowing. I looked at him. This kind, gentle man who had become such an important part of my life. I never thought I'd feel this way again, I admitted. After Earl, I figured that was it, that my story was over. He took my hand. Maggie, your story's not over. It's just beginning. I smiled. A real deep, soul-filling smile. Yeah, I think you're right. 1 year later, we had a big family gathering at Kevin's house. Everyone was there. Kevin, Rachel, Emma, Tyler, Diane, Walter even. Linda flew in from Texas. We had a barbecue. The kids ran around the backyard. The adults laughed and told stories. At one point, Emma came up to me and hugged me tight. Grandma, I'm so glad you didn't give up on us. I held her close. Sweetheart, I could never give up on you. You're my family. She smiled. You're the best grandma in the world. I felt tears prick my eyes. Happy tears. Later that night, after everyone left, Walter and I sat on Kevin's porch. Happy? He asked. I looked at the stars, thought about everything I'd been through. The pain, the loss, the betrayal, but also the healing, the forgiveness, the love. Yeah, I said, I'm happy. He squeezed my hand. Good. You deserve it. I leaned my head on his shoulder and I realized something. That day at the airport, When they took my ticket away, I thought my life was falling apart. But really, it was falling into place. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best ones. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what really matters. And sometimes the people who hurt you the most end up helping you become the person you were always meant to be. I looked up at the sky and whispered a silent thank you. To Earl for loving me all those years. To Walter for helping me believe in love again. To my family for finally seeing me, and to myself for being brave enough to walk away and strong enough to come back. That night, surrounded by everyone I loved, I made one final promise. I would never let anyone make me feel invisible again, because I am Margaret. I am a mother, a grandmother, a friend, and I matter. We all do. And we lived happily ever after, with big, grateful smiles. The end. The Eon Death. Thank you for reading. I hope this story touched your heart.